What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Winning Wealth Podcast, episode number 1 with Geoff Stuhr and Mogensen. And today we talked a lot about our backgrounds, how we got started in real estate, what we're doing, what we're trying to do with this podcast, and why we think this platform is going to be relevant and awesome for us and what we're doing with this business. And we get into some health and habits and goals and some fun shit too, talking about Miami, which I think is going to be awesome. So that's a key thing. We're going to talk about winning in whatever area of life and business that you're in, as well as ways to build wealth, whether that's through real estate or other avenues. And so we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And we're off. So this is, episode 1 of the Winning Wealth Podcast. I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but...
You got some ideas.
Got a couple ideas, yeah. Mostly my ideas. You threw one on there.
So what's your name, man? Tell everyone what's your name. Who are you?
I'm Geoff Stuhr. Not as visible and on social media, but that's going to change. I'm a partner at Smart Asset Capital. We got a couple different business ventures, and we're excited to start this Winning Wealth kind of media podcast event company and get it rolling with this. But that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, I mean,
everybody knows
Mogensen.
you.
Yeah, hopefully, you never know. Putting stuff out there, and we decided to start this podcast. So. What do you well, hold on, like what do you want to get out of the podcast? What's the goal of the I know we've talked about it. The goal, I think, of starting it was putting out more content. I mean, I think I've been putting out some stuff on Instagram, working on there for a while, and I think the podcast is just a great way to convey more information to everyone. I think I listen to a ton of podcasts. I know you do too, and I've gotten a ton of value from podcasts and like where I've gotten to today. So I want to kind of put that out there.
You've been on over 100, right?
Been on a lot of podcasts as a guest. So I want to flip the script, kind of, start doing my own, and you and I shoot the shit a little bit. We're going to kind of line up some cool speakers in the future as well. So I'm excited for it. Excited to be able to just talk through longer form content ultimately.
I think we have some fun banter too. Like I genuinely just want to shoot the shit in general. And, but I think it's important to have a platform, different types of platforms, right? You got the Instagram and Reels and whatever, and people that do Twitter and LinkedIn, longer form posts and blogs and whatnot. But a platform, like you said, is long form content. And it just allows you to kind of download what you know or what you're thinking about or what you want to learn more about. We're going to have guests on the show and just have some fun with it. I try to have fun in everything that I do. Any of our events are usually pretty fun. And so that's important to me. But you know what? Also, shout out to Rock Rose. These are your guys.
Yeah.
Great,
out amazing content.
Great dudes, and we're having fun here. At least he's eating his sub out there, not here.
Yeah. All right, man. So let's kind of talk through some of the stuff. What would you say you do? What would you say you do here? Right? Like, are you how have you started in business? You're in business, obviously. Like, what? Yeah. What? How did you get started in business? Where are you at today?
Yeah.
Let's hear through it a little bit.
All right. So, went to school. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. I went to business school, not grad school, but just a general business administration. And my old football coach had a really big ass boat, and he was a med device sales guy. And I was like, you know what? I want a boat like that. So, maybe I should get into sales. So I played football in college, and then at the time it was like I studied everything I could about football. I wanted to be the best player I could be, and I kind of shifted once I graduated. I shifted that like the studying and learning into reading about sales. That's actually how I found out about Grant Cardone. Shout out
10X.
Yeah, 10X, and so then I read like 50 sales books. I got a sales job at a company called Paychecks that does payroll services for small businesses. And that's actually where I met Adam, our other partner. So Brock and I and Adam are partners at a real estate private equity company called Smart Asset Capital. Brock's got the hat. He's rocking the swag today. And so I got that sales job because I wanted to get into a high level med device sales role where my old football coach was at. And so then I did that and I moved to that company and have been in sales ever since, basically corporate sales. I still am in enterprise software sales, for a large tech company, as kind of the day-to-day thing. But I realized pretty quickly when I started earning commission checks, and I was living in Chicago, and those commission checks went away pretty quickly. Like I found ways to spend those on things that weren't really positive. And about that time, like I said, I met Adam at the first gig right out of school, and Adam was buying his first duplex right around then. And I didn't really think much about it at all for a couple years. But once I started earning these larger bonuses and commission checks and seeing that money just kind of like get spent on stupid shit, I realized, I said, I should park that money somewhere that earns, that's an investment, right? And not just like an investment account, Fidelity or Robinhood now or whatever. But I was like, you know what, I should try to buy something that can cash flow and give me some extra, passive income, right? But when I first started doing it, it wasn't passive at all. But I started buying duplexes. I bought 4 of them. I bought a condo. I was managing them all myself, and that got to be really stressful. And then along the way, I started realizing, you know what, I want to scale this thing out bigger, and the only way to do that is to go bigger, more units, more or square footage or whatever, right? You can do one rental property at a time, but it'll just take a longer time. And so I wanted to shorten that time horizon. And basically, I met you. You were talking or thinking about doing real estate syndication as well. I had, again, went back to the books. I read, 50 plus real estate books. I walked into Adam's office with like 5 different books on syndication: Joe Fairless, Dave Lindahl, Michael Blanc, and a couple others. And I was like, I busted into his office. I remember it, and he's looking at me like, "What the fuck are you doing? Am I not supposed to swear on this or no?" Like,
no, we're gonna be swearing. Yeah.
Okay. Good, because otherwise it wouldn't go very far with me. I'd probably be kicked off right away. But I bust into his office, and he's looking at me like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I got the answers. I got the answers here." And Adam already had a thriving business going and everything like that. But I was like, "Dude, we got to syndicate deals." I've got a lot of friends and family and coworkers and people that, are saying, "Hey, I want to partner with you on deals." And it's like, I wanted to find, kind of an avenue to do that. And Adam had, 100 or so investor clients already as a broker and a property manager. So he had the infrastructure, and we were like, and I'm pointing to these pages in the books, and I'm like, "Dude, right here." And I don't think Adam even was like paying attention to it. But when I broke down the business model, and that's one of the things that your contribution to this potential topics list is the private equity model. And I just think, private equity real estate is I love real estate in general, but I think the private equity real estate model is my favorite model you can have. Well,
first off, we'll get Adam on one of these episodes. He's a fucking baller, and he's got a good story. But the so right now, you mentioned you're working a high salary job, right? You're doing the real estate on the side. And I know you're thinking through some things, right? We don't got to go too deep into it, but like what do you see the benefit as, like one versus the other, right? Like why do you prefer one or the other? What's more sustainable over the long term? What do you think is just better overall?
What's better overall, right? I think, in a lot of ways, depending on what people want for their lifestyle, right? Like you can do the FIRE, financial independence, retire early. And you could do that really like on a budget. So, and you could go into, different types of real estate or investments that you could live, a very modest lifestyle and retire really early. I like the Fat Fire model where you have you can live kind of a baller life, while also, retiring early. And honestly, I don't even like the idea of retiring early. What I love about real estate is that it's a business that you can build and be in for your entire life, right? You can get cash flow. It can provide, time freedom, financial freedom. And so if you're going to work a corporate high salary, high income job, there's usually a lot of stress there. There's stress in real estate, there's stress in business in general. But when you think about scaling, you typically can't scale and get to a point where you can really have time freedom and financial freedom, even if you're in a high income job. But I do like having a high income job if better than a low income job, right? If you're going to spend your time doing anything, right, try to break it down to how much is my time worth on an hourly basis or whatever. And I know that you do that, and that's one thing I want to talk about too, because and this is going to be good for the content, because I want to know how you track your time. And I know you use the app. I downloaded the app, couldn't figure it out. So I kind of want you to walk us through that process. You don't have to do it right now.
We can talk about that. But one thing too, I think is, as you talk about like entrepreneurship versus a job, right, is like, for me, the biggest thing is schedule control. Like having
time
control
freedom.
of my time freedom of there's going to be, as an entrepreneur, like you're going to work more, right? Most of the time, but I can kind of craft when I want to work, when I don't want to work, take a few days off. I don't have to get anything approved by my boss. If I want to take 2 days off, work from my phone, right? Like there's so many benefits. And for me, when I was leaving, right, I worked a corporate job for a while, and it was, I had more of a set salary. Yeah. I'd fucking punch in every day, punch out. Yeah. Knew what I was going to make for the year. I'd get a little bonus at the end. But it was like, when I look at the real estate, it's like the sky, like in entrepreneurship as a whole, like working on a few new business ventures right now, it's just like the sky's the limit. Yeah. You can make as much money as you want, and you can work as least as you want, right? You can build out systems to where if you don't want to be involved in certain things, and it's just so much more. Just gets so much more exciting, I think, thinking about the potential.
100%. Like it is different when you're in a high income sales job, because you still do have more freedom, a degree more freedom, and you can make a lot of money, like, mid 6 figures, and live a really comfortable, nice life. And that is awesome. But it is true when you see like, the Miami Marlins owner, and he had his yacht out here, right? And you can see, you see these yachts, you see private planes. Like if you're ambitious and that's something that you want to strive for, you really have to be in, business ownership, and real estate is a form of that. It's a great business to be in.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, a lot of it's mindset. How big do you want to go?
Exactly.
If you're comfortable with getting to a certain level and that's enough, maybe it doesn't make sense.
But at the same time, you're right. Like there's different things that when you're in corporate America that you have to do, that, even if you don't agree with why they're being done or whatever, right? You do it to appease certain folks and whatnot. And I'm on a really good team right now. I got a great, great squad. It's a great company, but ultimately, I mean, the freedom of dictating your schedule and it's not even dictating your schedule to me. It's just that I want to go big, I want the boat. Although now I want a bigger boat, so I got into sales because I want a boat, never got a boat. But, now, you just, and eventually maybe I'll be like, no, I don't want any more. But I definitely want to be able to fly private. I just came off, I was on the West Coast for 2 weeks and flew through Denver last night, was delayed twice. And, that was just a brutal experience. So every time I'm flying around is when it I'm usually listening to books or podcasts. I'm not going to be able to listen to our podcast. I probably can't. I can't hear myself. I don't like to. It's weird. Weirds me out. But maybe I will. But so I'm always like, shit. I'm sitting here in the back, like cattle. I'm in the back. Yeah.
Hustle your seat.
I'm usually not in the middle seat ever. I got enough status to not be in there. Like you were in the middle seat. I've got to and from Europe.
Well, that's when we went to London. What was it, a month or two ago, and for the Packers game, and a lot of it clicked. I've always kind of had that thought process, but it really clicked for me when I got I was middle seat both there and back, right? And I'm like jammed in here, and I'm just like, there's got to be a better way. I mean, there's got to be a better way.
This ain't the life. This ain't right. This ain't it.
Sleeping on my shoulder. I'm just
sorry. Again.
And there's levels to it, right? Like to own your own private jet and to fly, take that jet internationally, like you can't fake that. Like that's big money.
But the other thing is too, you got to then be able to stomach serious risk. You got to be extremely sharp. You got to be like dialed in all aspects, which is some other things that we should probably talk about. Like you and I both think about habits and routines a lot, and everybody that I find that's successful is extremely regimented, usually very calculated and dialed in all areas of their life. And you do that like from what you eat to how much you sleep to how much you exercise. You do that, I think, to almost more for your mental like capacity and your energy levels, right? If you can maintain good health by having great habits and routines, you can then have you have more energy levels to deal with a lot of shit in business that comes up. But then you got to be able to stomach the risk. And I think about Tillman. Is it Tillman Fertitta? Fertitta, whatever.
Yeah, he's awesome.
I keep a paddle in my office because in one of his books he always talks about this paddle, and he's like he does this too, and he keeps a paddle to remind him that there's a paddle for everyone's ass, right? And I'm like, and you got to just be comfortable with that, right? Yeah. We've got how many deals? I don't know, 10 or so deals, and we've both got a number of. I probably have 15 deals or so, and there's one of them that sucks, and we're having to work through a lot of shit with it. But we've got a lot of others that really kill it, and so you got to take the good with the bad, no matter what you're in, right? You just got to be able to.
There's more stress. Yeah, it's not I think a lot of, in most, not all, but in a lot of jobs, right? Like you clock out for the day and you're done, right? Like, I think
that's not corporate sales.
Not all I'm saying, but a lot of jobs are kind of like, you're going on vacation. Okay. Like I'm checked out, right? Where with entrepreneurship, it's like you get a call and it's like, oh shit, like now I gotta go work right now.
Yeah. The thing is, real estate doesn't really feel like work to me, even when we have shitty calls. We had a shitty call last week, I think, or earlier this week, and so those calls, they still suck, but it doesn't feel like work to me. It really just, it's like it's a part of me, right? It's part of what I do, and that's also another. Kind of major factor on like, what do you think about for the future? What do you want to do? Right? Like do more things that you can earn money and build wealth and get to whatever place that you want to get to, but do it in a way that doesn't feel like work. And I think part of that is like finding something that really interests you and working with people that you really want to work with and that you like hanging out with, that you want to do a podcast with. Mm-hmm. Did we mention Winning Wealth? That's the name.
I think I mentioned it. Yeah. We like to win. We like wealth.
I like to win. Yeah, that's huge, and so we just kind of put them together there.
All right. Well, let's talk about the habit stuff. I like that conversation. To me, like habits, routines, all that stuff is like the biggest benefit of is I'm trying to optimize my performance. Like I'm trying to perform at the highest level I can. So when I'm working on something, when I decide I'm going to work today, it's I want to really be productive. I want to get as much things done. I want to be thinking clearly. So there's a lot of different ways, morning routines, habits, sleep. I mean, all this stuff's super important, right? We have to talk about all of them. But like for you, what's your, because we talk about this a lot. Like, what's your like, you think your favorite like habit or like routine thing that you do each day that like contributes the most to like killing it each day?
So I've had this habit tracking app called Way of Life for like 5 years. And I've got 8 or 10 habits, and they kind of fluctuate a little bit, but there's the one that I call a keystone habit. I never heard that from anyone else, but I that's like my cornerstone. That's like what I do, and that's waking up early. And I don't want to be like one of these, guys that's just like, you got to get up at 5. And I laugh because I fucking missed our workout this morning because I slept in. I've been on West Coast time.
You're an early riser. You did miss our work. We had a 7:30 a.m. workout scheduled this morning. You bailed.
I bailed on it.
For the record. But,
I know. That was a bitch move. But so, but I woke up at 7. I'm like, shit, that's 5. Like, I was just on the West Coast for 2 weeks. But waking up early, and that for me, and that's not it for everybody, right? Like, you're more of a night owl and you get a lot of shit done. You're creative at night. Like me, my most creative times are like in the morning. My wife, we were talking about this before we started recording, but my wife is like, silence is golden in the mornings, and I'm just like up and I'm ready to rock, and get some caffeine going. But the thing is, for me, waking up early just allows you to collect your thoughts, allows you to go work on you, allows you to get I like to get a workout in before I start my day. Even if I wake up early, I'm going to go work out, because then everything else it flows much better. I'm able to deal with like stressful shit more easily, and I can think clearer and be less, kind of agitated about it. So waking up early. My other habits that I try just because I like to, because we're on the subject of it, limit alcohol, eat clean, workout, exercise, goals. Did I write my goals down or do some sort of meditation or I don't really meditate, but visualization, reading, studying, or listening to podcasts. Did I do that? Like meaningfully, actually pay attention to it. Did I review my finances? And then did I do some sort of like hobby, whether that's like golf or skiing or something that I like to do? What about you? What's your favorite habit, or what's your like habits and routine?
Yeah, I mean, I think similar. Like I like to work out, sleep, morning routine, all that stuff.
Who's stronger, me or you?
He's got me. Just wait though. Just wait.
He's
wait
a way better golfer than me. I'll give him that.
You got him on golf. It's the more important one. Yep. Anyways, I would say if I had to say one, my favorite like hack that I love and like just sets me up for the day is walking in the sun in the morning. Like going on a morning walk in the sun and just throw a podcast in, like. I love it. Like,
dude, they say it.
And it obviously, living in Wisconsin right now, it's not ideal because I don't get that. I have to do the treadmill, which isn't great.
Yeah, where are you going?
What about the eggs?
The eggs?
The eggs.
Yeah, we can talk about the eggs too.
Eggs.
I was say, which eggs? Which one?
For the content, get 3 eggs right.
Yeah, I'm going down to Miami, and honestly, like. There's so much things to look forward to, right? And this, to me, though, honestly, what I'm most, and it's something I visualized for a while too, because I like doing that too, is my morning walk in Miami.
Dude.
Like Brickell, Miami. That morning, I've done it before. It's the best.
So
I'm just looking forward to that.
When you're doing a morning walk, do you have like a path that you follow every day? Like I always hit this is my same.
Yeah, I got like a few different ones. I like in Milwaukee where we are here downtown, like there's the lakes 3 blocks away. There's a nice path.
Brock's pointing directly away from the
lake. Not good with directions.
He's not good with directions.
One of these ways. I know how to get there. Yeah. So I just cruise there, and it's like, the morning sun is like in your eyes too. Like don't put the shades on to get the sun in your eyes.
Yeah.
It's good for your like circadian rhythm. I mean, it's just I know it like noticeably difference in my energy throughout the day when I do that walk in the morning.
Yeah. That Dr. James Dina, I can't even try to say his last name, but he always talks about the morning sunlight too.
Yeah.
And right in the eyes. So let's talk more about you getting down there, your walks. You're going to be in Miami. Like what was the point behind Miami? Like I know so you can walk in the sun is the main one.
This is one of the reasons.
Which is fair, valid.
It's been a goal. Like I used to love like snowboarding and being here in the wintertime and stuff, and like now I don't like the winter times. I don't like the cold. I like warm weather. I just feel better when it's warm out, when I get the sun. It's been a goal of mine for a while, right? To be able to spend the winters somewhere warm. So this year I was able to make it happen where I rented a condo down in Miami for a few months, and I'm going to go down there. And I think just overall going down there will open up some doors, right? I'm going to meet some new people. I'll be in a place obviously that's high energy and some good people I can meet down there. But I think I'm going to go down there and just kind of have a new view on everything and working on some new things right now that is going to grow that. I'm excited, man. I'm not going down there with like a certain agenda. I'm kind of just cruising down there. Like I don't really know anyone specifically. I just rented a 1-bedroom. I'm just going to go down there and I'm going to have fun and I'm going to work and I'm going to meet some new people and see what happens.
I think it's awesome, man. I think maybe because I like goals too, right? Like maybe there's some goals that you could set, like, hey, I met a certain amount of people that can open doors for me, right? Like, or, you know, for you, not for me. For me too. If you meet
spills over.
Yeah. You know, but like, you know, like people can wing shit, right? And, you know, you might get lucky or you might have the right sort of course or direction that you think you're going to have, but also kind of putting something behind that too. Like, hey, I'm going to go down here and try to add X amount of people to my network. That could be potential investors or potential, you know, business partners or whatever. Right. And I think that's a good way to approach it. But I think it's, you know, what are the fun shit you're going to do in Miami? Let's talk about that. I said that at the beginning. I like to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna golf. I'm definitely gonna golf. I already got a few tee times set up.
Lined them up.
So, you know, I'd love to golf. So I'm gonna do some of that. Hit the beach. Love going to the beach. South Beach. Good times.
Hit the Mango Deck, right? No, Mango Deck. I think that's Cabo. Mangoes is
So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to like seeing the area too. Like I know some people down there. I'll link up with them, but like just exploring the area, get to know it. I've always liked that area, so I think it's gonna be. I like the renting model. I mean, it's like people have asked like, "Oh, you gonna buy a place down there?" It's like I'm just gonna go live down there first, see if I like it, instead of like trying to buy a place and figure it out then. Like I'll just go down there and check it out and for an extended period of time and see what I think about it.
I really do believe that America is becoming more of a renter nation. You know, all these big real estate guys talk about it from a perspective as why like multifamily apartments is a great investment, and I believe it is. But I think more and more and more people are going to choose like flexibility and, you know, just kind of everything. Even if you look at the like the economy in general, or like, you know, things are moving more towards a subscription model. There's a book called The Subscription Economy in enterprise software, right? It used to be these on-premise like perpetual licenses that are big capital expenditures like upfront. And everything's moved more towards an as-a-service model. And that's what I think, you know, renting is too. It's like, hey, I can rent here. I have flexibility. It's an operating expense. And I don't have to shell out a big down payment for a house that you're kind of like anchored to a bit. So
yeah, I love the renting. And obviously we're in an apartment building right now where we live. And
shout out to the 7.
Yeah, I mean, the amenities are great. And it's like, it's just fun too, like, you know.
You meet a lot of great people.
Yeah, like you're in this community of people that like go hang out by the pool and like it's a gym. You kind of meet people. I mean, it's just, I like the renting model and like, you know, these big amenity buildings like this.
Story on that. Actually, in this very room that we're in, Brock had just been renting here for 3 years or something, right? Mm-hmm. Something like that. And I would come back from Reno, Nevada, or even when I still lived here, and I'd come work in this building with you, and it was like, holy shit, this place is sweet. It smells great too, by the way, and you know, it's just got all the amenities, and it was like, you know what, so I rented a place here for when I'm in town, and you know, I love it too, right? It's a great community, great people, can't speak highly enough about it.
What would you say to people that, I get this a lot, like my dad was like, you know, why are you doing that? Like, paying more to live in like a nicer building, right? Oh. Like this is on the higher end, if not the highest in the city. People ask that question all the time, right? Even people with the money is like, why are you paying that much for rent? Like when you can go up the street somewhere and it half the cost. What do you think about that?
Well, it's the people that you're around. I mean, and there's a lot of great people here. There's a lot of eclectic folks too, and you know, there's different, you know, there's a lot of diversity, which is awesome, but it's just the standard of living around people that are, it kind of weeds out the bad apples, right? Like, and you know, I prefer when I eat out at restaurants a lot, and it's the same sort of thing, right? Like I can go to some super, you know, inexpensive, you know, kind of dive bar and go have, you know, a few drinks there for $2 each or whatever, and you know, eat some shitty food, feel like shit after that, and I probably am gonna not meet anyone that is gonna interest, you know. I don't like to do blanket statements because I can have a lot of fun in dive bars too, but for the most part, I try to go where it costs a little bit more. It's a nicer environment, the ambiance, and then you meet other people that are doing interesting stuff. And I've always been a big proponent of that. It's worth spending a little bit more money. And that's another thing too, when we were talking about it earlier, like when you're like on a salary and a fixed income, and then you don't really have any side hustles or really anything else, then the only thing that you can do to maximize that paycheck is cut costs, right? So then that's when you start to look at, well, I'd rather go live in a like a not super nice apartment or house or whatever, and go eat, the 50-cent wings somewhere, which are great too sometimes, but like it's because you don't have any other options than to look at cutting costs, right? So the thing that you have to do is increase income. Mm-hmm. So that it doesn't, it doesn't matter as much. You're not just always focused on. You're not driving around looking for the cheapest gas. Yeah. Or like hitting all these different stores, right? Like I know you go to Whole Foods. I like Whole Foods too, right?
Yeah.
Although it's getting a little, it's getting weird. I don't do the grocery shopping anymore either. My wife does that.
Whole Foods is great.
And then Instacart.
Great deli. I agree with that. Yeah, because like the talking about like income and expenses, right? A lot of people look at it that way, as like how can I cut $50 off my monthly burn, right? Like instead of how can I add $50 a month to my income?
Yeah.
Looking at it the other way, I think that's something you and I do well. Is we're always more focused on the income rather than the expenses. You got to keep it realistic, right? But it's like, that's a big mindset shift, I think, for a lot of people, where it's like they're instantly like attracted to how much did that cost you? Like you did that, you did this, instead of like, oh, but you're like doing this to make more money instead to offset that.
It's especially tough, where we grew up in Wisconsin. I think it's the best people in the world. I think, Midwestern, but it is more blue collar mindset, and more about less people thinking that way, right? If you go to bigger cities, even Chicago, but bigger cities, mostly like New York, Miami, LA, San Francisco, there's bigger thinkers that are more interested in, how do you increase your capacity to earn more, and then afford, more, and even if you have to spend more,
And sometimes you spend money on like stupid things, right? Aren't gonna make you more money, but like there's strategic ways to spend money that can make you more money. And I look at it a lot of times like that, like even paying more to live in a building like this, like it's led to relationships, investors that have grown our business.
How
right?
About
or
cars? Like you got a new car recently.
They get a new car, and I don't know if that's a good. They're going to increase anything. I have gotten some content from it, which
it's dope too. Probably feels stuff. But the other thing is too, when you look good, you feel good. We always used to say, look good, feel good, play good, get paid.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. And it's like
if you're feeling good driving that,
I feel great.
It's Porsche.
I get excited.
Yeah, you get fired up.
Yeah, I do. Even like to buy yourself into circles, right? Like joining country clubs or masterminds or paying more for that ticket to go to this event to kind of get you in a smaller circle. I think those sort of things are like a great use of money, where a lot of people don't like justify it. Oh, it's going to be $10,000 to do that. Like, that's a waste of money, but they don't look at it as like, I'm going to spend that $10,000, but then I'm going to meet these 3 people that are going to lead to this, and I'm going to make $100,000 off of that. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't look at it that way.
And it's hard to make that connection too. Like I'm going to invest $10,000 here.
It's tough to put the money down and for a later result, right? That could take 3 years, 5 years. Like you never know.
And everybody talks about like the investment that you make in yourself is going to have the highest return out of any investment, no matter what you do. Even if you kill it in a real estate deal or whatever, and you have a huge return, that's great. But like the investments that you can make in yourself, in your knowledge, in your the community that you live in and network in, right? Like those investments tend to pay off tenfold. Yeah,
I think I agree. Putting money into learning stuff and investing in yourself. It's like small as a gym membership, right? Or like looking at it that way, instead of trying to save up $500 to put into a Robinhood account, right? Like use that $500 on a course or like a mentor or something, and think you're going to get more value over that over the long term than just a couple $100 in a stock that's really not going to do nothing.
Yeah, and that's there's a book by, I think it's MJ DeMarco, The Millionaire Fastlane, and he talks about when you're investing in the stock market with like little sums of money like that, right? $500 out there, it's like a wave, like a ripple way out in the ocean, right? It's not going to grow quickly enough or big enough to be able to become a tidal wave and really,
Whereas, you put that $500 into a course or something, right? Like, you learn a new skill that turns into 6 figures, and then you invest that 6 figures into stock or real estate.
Exactly.
Obviously, we're real estate guys and prefer that investment, but I think
why do you prefer real estate over stocks?
I feel like I just get crushed every time in stocks, and also, I mean, there's more reason to it, right? I think to me, like, stocks is like you don't have any control over it, right? You're just investing in like a piece of paper and like throwing it out there. You don't know if like next week the CEO of the stock you invested in is going to have some scandal and like the stock goes down. Like you have no control over that. Where for me, it's like I'd rather put my money into the real estate assets that we've learned this game. We know, we feel confident in the deals we're buying, and I have control over it, right? Like I can figure out how to make more money at that property and strategically add value to it. That's going to grow my investment compared to just like putting trust into someone else to do it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I have some like just S&P stuff sitting there, but it's like I've grown away from like even trying to play the stock market game. I just rather would put all of my money into real estate that I'm working and, maybe a small portion to some other things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if you're like a retail investor, you don't have a competitive advantage at all. I mean, you can do research and you can watch Kramer and, look at the Motley Fool and all that all the time, right? And try to get some edges there. But ultimately, I think it pays to zero in for the most part on what your core investment's going to be. And I love real estate too, because then you can diversify. It's not like you're going all in on a business. I almost bought a business 2 years ago that I would have had to sign on the dotted line for a $52,000 a month loan. And this was a software company too. So like it could have gone, like it could be gone tomorrow, right? And I could lose everything. I mean, sort of, right? But real estate, even with what we do, like they're sort of non-correlated. I mean, it's all of our stuff's in southeastern Wisconsin. So if, there is that correlation, but we have a lot of different asset classes. We have a lot, and some properties perform a lot better than others. They way outperform, but it's a way to diversify within a core business model. And I love that part about real estate too. Yeah.
It's amazing. And we'll talk more about some real estate stuff in this podcast.
What do you think we should do? Should we do like we thought about a book club. I think I mentioned like 5 of them already, but or like a final 3 or something. I don't know. Maybe we got to come up with questions that we ask.
Let's come up with some more stuff. We're gonna get some cool guests through some connections we have here, and I'm excited. I'm excited for what's in store for this.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for listening to the Winning Wealth podcast. Please share this with a friend, someone that you might find value out of this. We are trying to grow this, so anyone that can find value, please share it with them. That was bad.